Everyone, this is Mrs. Moriarty, and I'm here to discuss with us topic 5.17. This is all about what's known as sustainable forestry. So here looking at 5.17, what are some examples of sustainable forestry practices? Well, in class, we will discuss different ways in which we obtain resources such as timber, lumber, and wood products. And typically, that is by cutting down trees and obtaining those trees and refining those materials into actual resources that we use on a daily basis. We know we've talked pretty much at length right this year that deforestation has tremendous ecological, environmental, economical benefits, consequences, and so on. So how can we still obtain the paper products, wood products that we need for our everyday uses, but ensure that we are doing it sustainably so that we still have those resources for the future and try to limit any type of environmental or ecological negative impact. So, ecologically sustainable forestry is an approach to removing trees from forests in a way that do not affect the viability of any other non-commercial tree species. So oftentimes you might see things like tree plantations that really only host maybe one species, maybe two species of trees at a time, and they tend to completely wipe out those areas. In some cases, you might see an ecosystem that has lots and lots of different trees. So an ecological sustainable forestry practice would be one in where we're trying to remove trees, but not necessarily remove the entirety of that ecosystem. So some other practices, especially as consumers, that we can do to try and limit the amount of wood or paper products we might need, that would be to recycle any wood products that we maybe already have. So if there's like furniture that might be broken and is unfixable, it's good to try and recycle that type of wood, or even try to fix it as best as we can. Wood can also be chipped and used as like mulch for gardens or agricultural fields. So parts of the wood that maybe we can't necessarily automatically use in some sort of everyday practice, we could continue to try and use those materials for maybe other purposes as well. So we're not only using the entire part of the tree there. What we could also do is replant trees. So areas that may have been deforested or completely deforested, we can go in and replant whatever trees may have been lost there. So that is known as reforestation. Or we can implement some sort of selective cutting or selectively removing certain types of trees to ensure that the biodiversity is minimally impacted. Or let's say there's some sort of disease or invasive species that maybe is causing diseased trees. We can also selectively remove those trees to try to prevent any infection spread or maybe even the spread of invasives that would wind up destroying other types of trees as well. Now, another sustainable practice as it pertains to our forest ecosystems is not only protecting them from deforestation, but it's also protecting them from forest fires. And especially being in the Northeast, we've really experienced firsthand a lot of the consequences of forest fires, especially the ones that happened last year in Canada. We kind of got the secondhand smoke from all of the forest fires in Canada back in, I think it was April or May of last year. So in looking at forest fires, they actually are a good thing. However, they need to be done in a proper manner. So forest fires are actually something that is quite natural and technically should happen to forest ecosystems because it's a natural process that allows for the recycling of nutrients. They can return back to the soil, and the plants that are still left over can use those to continue to grow, and we can start to see the ecosystem return via secondary succession. So to do that, humans have to follow a proper protocol in order to maintain forest ecosystems and not wind up having much larger or greater forest fires as a result. So one method is by doing what's called a prescribed burn. This is a fire that can be deliberately set under very controlled conditions in order to reduce the accumulation of dead biomass on the forest floor. Because what we've found is trying to prevent all forest fires from happening no matter what actually creates an accumulation of combustible material on the forest floor. Think about it. If you have trees that lose their leaves, lose their needles, you see very dried out dead twigs, dried out grass, all on the forest floor, eventually what can happen is a spark could take place, and a lot of that is going to set ablaze, creating a much greater forest fire than if a much smaller one was performed, wiped out all of the dead, dry material for it to then recycle back over again. So prescribed burns can actually help the reduce risk of an uncontrolled natural fire, and the nutrients in the dead biomass wind up being recycled and result in new growth, since we know after a forest fire, we can see secondary succession. So eventually that ecosystem will return back. All right, folks, here's our practice FRQ for 5.17. Identify one characteristic of forests that develop when fires are suppressed, and explain why the practice of fire suppression does not reduce, but actually increases the risk of intense and extensive forest fires. Take a moment, pause the video, make sure you jot this down in your practice FRQ journal and on the Edpuzzle. Okay, taking a look at our answers here. Remember, you had to identify one characteristic. So something that you could have said could really have been anything in this little table here. So we know that if we suppress forest fires, right, we don't naturally allow them to occur, or maybe we don't do any prescribed types of burns, we can get an accumulation of combustible material like dead leaf litter, debris. We could also see an increase in the understory growth, so that'd be grasses, shrubs, brush, which is only going to carry fire further. We could see larger trees wind up developing, maybe even aged trees, meaning trees all of the same age, and so on. But what happens when we continue to suppress forest fires? We know that it's going to add to the fuel load, right? It's going to make the forest fire even greater, more intense, because if you have increased leaf litter, you're only making more fuel to the fire. All right, folks, that's it for our video on 5.17. If you have any questions, please leave them at the end of the video.